what's going on, everyone? Body by Natalie here, and I'm coming at you today with a new macro tracking 101 episode all about how to find your starting calories for fat loss. I'm going to tell you how to exactly calculate how many calories you need to start losing weight, but before we get into that, I want to talk about good calories versus bad calories, good foods versus bad foods, because when a lot of people start a diet, they hear all these myths about what foods they should stay away from, what foods are good for fat loss, what should you eat. And I'm here to tell you that there are no good calories and bad calories. People start clean eating and eating healthy and cutting out junk foods, hoping that the foods will help them lose weight, but it's not the specific foods, it's the overall amount of the foods. And before I get into all of that, if you'd like to just skip ahead and go straight to the equations to see how to calculate your calories, go right ahead. But I really want to take the time to explain this topic first so you can really understand why this method works and what's the difference between good and bad. What is a calorie? A calorie is literally just a unit of measurement. It tells you how much energy is in a certain food. So just like there are 12 inches in a foot, there are, 100 calories in a banana, 200 calories in a Snickers bar. There's 200 calories in 4 ounces or 5 ounces of chicken breast. A calorie is just telling you how much energy that food is made out of. It doesn't matter what the food is. Now, yes, there are foods that are more nutritious than others, and we can start tackling the differences when it comes down to their macronutrient composition: proteins, carbs, fats, micronutrients, antioxidants, vitamins, fiber. There's a whole bunch of different things that make up food that changes the nutrient composition, but the overall calorie number stays the same. Although the foods have different nutrition properties, a calorie is still just a calorie. And one way we can make fat loss more sustainable and fun and enjoyable is to stop separating good food versus bad food. Stop restricting yourself because you think that eating the healthy foods is gonna aid you more with fat loss. And yes, that can be true further down the road. Like, for example, you don't want to eat just thousands of calories in candy. You could do that and still lose weight as long as your calorie intake is where it needs to be in a deficit. But is that the best way? Probably not, because like I said, there are nutrient dense foods and not so nutrient dense foods, and stuff like candy, sweets, junks. Those are going to be high calorie but less nutrient dense, whereas the fruits, the vegetables, the fiber, the complex carbs, the protein, all of those foods are going to help you longer with fat loss the more you get into your cut, because they're going to keep you full, the fiber's there, nutrients that you're going to want to need. So as long as most of the foods you're eating fall into the nutrient dense category, then the rest of your calories can be literally whatever you enjoy, whatever you want to fit into your diet. So if you agree with that so far, let me know below, comment below any crazy myths that you've heard surrounding good foods versus bad foods or superfoods. I want to know, so comment below. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is how to know if you're in a calorie deficit, because people calculate the numbers and they don't see changes right away, or they don't think it's working, and they just get frustrated, want to quit, and it's just a bad time. So how do you know if you're actually in a deficit and if the calories you're eating are actually working for you? And one main problem is people just don't give it enough time to work. They don't give it enough time putting in consistent effort every day to let the process work and see results from that. They think they're being consistent or doing okay, or they think they're doing fine, and they're not seeing any progress. And it could be for multiple reasons: not tracking your calories right, being strict during the week and overeating on the weekends, just little slip-ups like that where you're not giving it 100% consistent effort can stall your progress. Which is why, instead of tracking every single day your weight or your measurements or whatever, look at it over a trend, like a month, 2 months, 3 months, 90 days. Track every day if you were consistent to your calories or not. Something that I like to use is a strategy by Jordan Syatt, who says take a calendar, literally a calendar, put a check or an X or whatever on the days that you hit your calories 100%. You were consistent with your calories. And on the days you weren't consistent, put something else like a circle or mark it off or something like that. And that way you can see day to day over a month or 90 days, how consistent were you? And if you were not at least 80% consistent over the 90 days, then you can't really have a reason to be frustrated or annoyed with your progress, because it's just a matter of consistency. So if that's something you need to work on, I would highly recommend trying that strategy and just tracking your progress of consistency, because the more consistent you can be and the longer you trust this process, the better results you're gonna see. If you have goals to achieve, consistency has to be something that's thought about, that you need to practice on a day-to-day basis. You have to be consistent with this. And if you did track over a month or whatever, and you have been consistent and you're still not seeing any progress, then you can kind of see where you need to make adjustments, or if any changes need to be made, like a calorie decrease or cardio increase or something like that, but only if you've been consistent. You can't give it a week or 2 or 3 weeks to see if it works, and you're, slipping up, on track, off track, whatever, and you don't see any results, and then you want to change something. You can't think of it that way, because if you're constantly slipping up and you're not staying consistent and you're constantly changing your programming, you're never gonna make real lasting results. So you need to stick to one thing, be consistent with it, and then reassess at the end of that to see if changes need to be made. But like I've said, you need to just give it time to work. Now I want to go into how to exactly find your calories. And there are tons of different ways you can do this, but I prefer this method over calorie calculators that you find online or MyFitnessPal, because they tend to start you at way too low of calories. Like, it's not necessary to start off eating, 1,1500 calories. For some people, that might be okay. But for other people, cutting down calories that low just does way more harm than good. So I prefer this method over those calculators. Before you find your starting calories, you need to know what your maintenance calories are. And I have a video out about this, explaining 3 different ways how to find your maintenance calories. I'll link it below, or the IGTV video is on my Instagram. But basically, if you're new at this and you haven't been tracking calories at all, and your weight's been staying the same, those are your maintenance calories. Whatever you're eating day to day, if you keep eating those calories, your weight will stay the same. Those are your maintenance calories. So good news is that's super easy. If you've been maintaining your weight for a while, those are your maintenance calories. So if you haven't been tracking your foods, I would track for 1 to 2 weeks your normal diet. Just see how many calories you're regularly intaking, find your maintenance calories, and then from there you can see how much you should cut to start your deficit. Now, a lot of people may feel like they're eating low calories and not losing weight. What I want to say is, 1, make sure you're truly eating low calories, you're tracking everything, staying consistent. Like I've mentioned before in this video, make sure you're actually eating the low calories. And if you are actually eating low calories and you're not losing weight, then it might be time to maybe go into a reverse diet and not focus on fat loss right now. And I have a whole nother video explaining that process as well, to determine if you're ready mentally, physically, and physiologically for a fat loss phase. So again, I have a YouTube video on that, IGTV video on that, so link is below. Check that out to see if you're ready to cut. If you're not, then you're gonna have to eat a little higher in the beginning. But if your maintenance calories are at a pretty high baseline level and you're ready to start a cut, the first thing you want to do is cut by 300 to 500 calories, depending on how aggressive you want to go. So a good rate of weight loss per week is 1 to 2 pounds a week. So I would start at the bare minimum, cut 300 calories. Weigh yourself every single day and compare your weekly averages and see if that's working for you. If it's not, cut a little bit more. The thing is, there are maintenance calorie ranges. So that's why I'm saying you want to make a cut of at least 300 calories, because if you're only cutting, 100 calories at a time, that's not a big enough jump to kind of shock your body into fat loss. It's just going to adapt to the slow decrease in calories and maintain your weight, just like your body adapts to the slow increase in calories in a reverse diet. So you want to make a big enough cut to shock your body into losing weight, to get out of that maintenance threshold, which is why I like to start at 300, the bare minimum. If it's not working, cut maybe, another 50, another 100, and just find a range that works for you. Now, if you want to be a little more aggressive and you trust yourself and your calories are even higher as a starting point, then cutting 500 is not a problem. But again, you'll just have to test and see what's working. If you have a lot of weight to lose, like 50, 60, 100 pounds to lose, then you can actually get away with eating a little bit more at the beginning, because your maintenance calories and the amount of calories that you've been eating is probably on the higher end, which is good, because you can start losing fat on higher calories, and that's the whole goal. You want to be able to lose weight by eating as much as you can, right? So if you have a lot to lose, just know that you can actually be eating more than you think and still lose weight. For example, I have a client, Matt, who went through a program, my one-on-one coaching program, and he never went below 2,000 calories a day, and he's lost over 100 pounds since working with me. So don't think that there's a specific magic calorie deficit number that you have to hit in order to lose weight. You can eat high calories and still see progress. And eventually, the smaller you get and the more weight you lose, you're gonna have to be eating less, which is why I like to say start your calorie deficit at the bare minimum, at as high of calories as you can, because you will plateau. There will be periods of times where you're not losing weight and you're staying the same. And when that happens, you're gonna have to make an adjustment, a calorie decrease. And if your starting calories are already pretty low, 14, 1500, you're gonna have to cut to 1200, 1300 to keep losing weight. Whereas if you start your diet at, 1800, 2000 calories, you can cut to maybe 16, 1700 and keep losing weight. And again, we want to lose weight on as much calories as possible. So start high. And once you find your starting calories, there are different methods you can use in order to increase your adherence to those calories. Something that I love and practice and my clients use is calorie cycling. And I have a full video on that as well. Check that out, how to calorie cycle, so you can have days where you eat more and days when you eat less. Especially if you like to eat a lot on the weekends, you can spread out your calories throughout the week, so you eat maybe 100 to 200 calories lower Monday through Thursday, and then 200 calories higher on the weekends, or whatever day that you feel hungrier, or you have a party, or just something that you want to plan and save a bigger chunk of your calories for. So there are different methods that you can utilize. Really quick, guys, the macros part of this could be a video for a whole different topic, but I do have videos out right now that will help you see how many macros you should be eating from those calories. Quick rule of thumb, you want to keep your protein high during a fat loss phase. So a quick calculation could be 1.6 to 1.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. Set your protein intake, find your calories. The rest of your carbs and fats can literally be whatever you want them to be. Low carb, low fat, high fat, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what you can stick to, what you like better, what you can adhere and stay consistent to your calories to, and sticking to your protein. So those are the most important things, and I do have videos on those as well on my IGTV, so check those out. And back to the video. If your goal is just fat loss, the most important thing is getting your calories where they need to be. Stick with that number for at least, 1, 2, 3 months, 90 days. See how it's working for you. Stay consistent. And I promise, if you just follow these methods and trust yourself, trust the process, and put real consistent effort into reaching your goals, then it's gonna work. I promise you. Don't overthink it. Don't feel like you have to make huge cuts or huge restrictions or stay away from foods, eat certain foods. Don't overcomplicate it. You want to find your calorie number and stick to that number. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If it was, please like, share with a friend, comment down below with any feedback, any questions that you may have, and I will catch you next time.